Hello, good morning, students. My name is Mrs. Ifeanyiwa Obinwa, and I want to welcome you to a lecture on PAE 341 Fish Parasites and Diseases. For one or two reasons, I wasn't able to come around when I should, but I'm here now, and I hope that this will also serve the same purpose. I have just two topics to discuss with us. One is ectoparasites and other enemies of fishes, including harmful pests, insects, amphibians, reptiles, other fishes, birds, and then mammals. And the second one is fish diseases caused by protozoans. Ectoparasites of fishes include, I just discussed a few. One of them is isopod. Of course, majority of isopods are ectoparasites, and I believe you know what ectoparasites are. They are parasites that live on the bodies of their host. So there are three major groups of these isopods. One is cymothoids, the second one is epicaridians, and the gnathids. These cymothoids and epicaridians their adult stages are usually parasitic, but their immature stages are free living. But in gnathids, their larval stage or the immature stages are parasitic, and their adult stages are free living. So many species of fishes are infected by the cymothoids. So these cymothoids, they include the organisms in the order Cymothoidae. Okay, they are blood feeding, and several species settle in the buccal cavity of fishes, that is in their mouth. Others can live in the gill chamber or in the body surface, including the fins. Infection with Cymothoea exigua destroys the fish's tongue, and that's why we call it the tongue-eating louse. So their life cycle involves only one host. Isopods can cause morbidity and mortality in captive fish populations. As direct agents of diseases, their feeding and attachment activities can cause organ and tissue damage, including blood loss. Because once they feed on the blood of the organism, that makes the organism lose so much blood, can lead to anemia and all that. Other problems can be osmoregulatory problems, that is, problems that involve a balance between the water and salt content of the organism. And also, these organisms can serve as vector to some pathogens like viruses, bacteria, bloodborne protozoa, and nematodes. So as indirect promoters of diseases, they can cause lesions and stress that can predispose hosts to opportunistic pathogens, example the bacteria and fungi. So the effect of these organisms of fishes can predispose the hosts to some other infections that can be caused by virus, bacteria, protozoa, and nematodes. So one of the effects of these ectoparasites on fishes is that there could also be erosion of gill lamella. It can damage the gill rakers, and it can cause the gills to look pale as a result of severe gross lesions as a consequence of the isopod infestations. All these gill lamella, gill rakers, and all that are parts of the gills that are found just under the operculum by the side of the head of the fish, by both sides. So the pale gills of infested fishes indicate the presence of anemia, which may be due to loss of blood as a result of obstruction of bronchial circulation by the attachment of the parasites and the homophagous nature of the bronchial sinusoids. So the callus-like thickening observed on the gill arc and gill filaments may be due to the constant irritation caused by the body and appendages of the parasite. That callus-like thickening means it has a thick area of hard skin, that is something like they are thick in nature. Alright, so thickening and erosion are two unique morphological changes noticed owing to infestation of the sinusoids of the isopod family. Okay, these changes were mainly due to heavy pressure exerted by the parasites and also by their feeding nature. Longer stay of parasites within the gill chamber may also prevail and obstruct the normal growth of the gill arches. This may be the reason for the torsion of gill arch and fusion of gill lamella. How do we prevent this disease and treat it? One is by quarantine. Quarantine, we know, is the first defense. First defense of fishes. Basically, it means maybe observing the new fishes, observing them before introducing them maybe to other fishes, or if there are some that show signs of the disease infestations, we can pick them out, monitor them before we mix them with others. Do quarantine, monitor them. If any of them is showing clinical signs of the disease, we treat them before we mix them with others. So another prevention or treatment of infection is mechanical removal using forceps. Maybe you see the parasite on the body of the fish, we can use forceps to pick it out and destroy it. And then osmotic shock. Osmotic shock means exposing the fishes to saltwater dips. We prepare a saltwater solution and then we dip the infected fish, inside that salt water. So it's gonna cause an osmotic shock on the body of the parasite and definitely it's gonna die away. So this osmotic shock is sometimes effective. Water treatments also using organophosphates are sometimes warranted. That is water treatments with pesticides. Okay, it can also help because those isopods are pests too. So when considering treatments of isopod infection, it is important to remember that some isopods can detach from and live away from their hosts for significant periods. So they can actually leave their hosts, stay away, and then after some time they come back. Maybe by that time they stay away, you feel that there is no infection or there is no isopod anywhere around. So they can always come around. So treatment should also involve the fishes and also the environment. The environment should also be treated against such disease, so that even if the parasites are somewhere lurking around the habitat, they will be destroyed too, so they don't cause further infections. Now, the second ectoparasite we're going to look at is the leeches. So leeches are segmented worms with long, slender, flexible bodies. They are usually 15 to 30 millimeters in length and can easily be seen. They are visible. They are brown or dark brown with suckers at each end of the body, and we know that these suckers are for attachments to the body of the host. They use the suckers to attach to the fish and also enable the leech to move freely over the body surface. The leech usually attaches to the flanks or belly of a fish. They can also be found in sheltered areas such as on the gills and in the mouth, they have a simple life cycle. So leeches are common parasites in fisheries. The most frequent species is Piscicola geometra, which can infect most species of fish. And the life cycle of this Piscicola geometra include: 1. The eggs are laid in cocoons which attach to aquatic plants or rocks. The development of the cocoon can be as short as 1 week before the leech hatches from the egg. Once hatched, the leech must find a fish to feed on, but can survive for several weeks without a host. So although leeches are hermaphrodites, they have male and female sex organs, they still need to cross-fertilize with another leech in order to reproduce. That means they still need another leech to cross-fertilize. They don't fertilize by themselves. In as much as they have both male and female organs present in their bodies, they need other leech. They need other leech to cross-fertilize. That is, where the other leech is present now, one will be acting as the male and the other will be acting as the female before they can be able to produce. So the leech will leave the fish only when it is filled up with blood or when it wants to go lay eggs. So when feeding, leeches insert a slender tubular organ, which we call the proboscis, into the skin of the fish. So it allows blood to flow from the fish to the parasite. So the feeding action and attachment can result in the damage of the fish. These two actions, the feeding and the attachment with their suckers, it can cause some damage to the body of the fish. It can cause lesions and bleeding on the skin. It can also lead to further bacterial and fungal infections, and the fish may even suffer from reduced blood supply. Okay, so despite the damage caused, fish can easily tolerate low numbers of the parasite. They can easily tolerate a low number of the parasite. As a result of feeding, leeches may transmit blood parasites and viruses to the fish. There are no effective treatments for leeches once they have become established. The prevention of exposure and sensible fishery management has been of help in controlling leeches, where we manage the fish environment well, we maintain absolute cleanliness and hygiene, and then we prevent exposure. If you see one or two leeches, you kill them, and then you know what's attracting them to that habitat, and you'll be able to deal with it to prevent infestation in the fish population. So leeches rarely cause problems to whole populations of fish. When this does occur, however, leeches are seen as indicators of other problems. Basically, they don't affect the whole population of fishes at a time. So if a leech is able to get to maybe a fish per se, all you need to do is to feed on the blood and cause some damage as a result of the attachment. It does not move maybe in colonies or in groups where if you see one infection is it mostly happens that most of them will be infected. It's not like that. So leeches usually occur in fish habitats in few numbers, and the fishes can also maybe feel fine in those or tolerate those low numbers. But when the numbers are high, we have to check the habitats. Maybe there is poor management and overstocking. It could be that the fishes are overstocked. Maybe we have large number of the fishes that the pond or the environment can contain at a time. Maybe there's an overpopulation, overcrowding, so to say. It can cause or it can make the leech problems to be worse. So healthy fish can avoid these parasites, whereas sick fishes cannot. So if a fish is sick and resting on the bottom of a fishery, it is easy for leeches to attach themselves. This is also the case during the colder months when fish is less active and are spending more time conserving energy on the bottom of a fishery. So leech infections may be higher due to fish being in a dormant state. So to say, we can say that leech infections maybe can be higher during the colder times, the winter, or maybe harmattan, the colder times, because the fishes tend to be more in their dormant state. Their movements are reduced and the rest of them. So this is what a leech looks like. See the diagram. You should also source for the diagram to demonstrate the life cycle. It's very important. Then another one is the monograms. They include organisms like the Paraguadriacanthus enterogyrus, the Acopenteron dactylogyrus extensus, the Gyrodactylus rochefti, and the rest of them. So these organisms, though I didn't elaborate this, but the organisms parasitize the skin, the gills, the fins, the epidermis, the lip folds, the nares, the stomach, and the urethra of fishes. Excuse me. Showing symptoms like hyperplasia of gill epithelium and interference with respiratory function. Then we have the parasitic reports. So a variety of different parasitic reports can cause external infestations of freshwater and marine water fishes. So some members of this group are commonly referred to as the fish lice. They are frequently found on the body, around the mouth, and on the gills. So members of this order, the Copepoda, include the genera, the Linear, the anchor worm in both fresh and marine water fishes, the Salmincola in freshwater, and Lepiopterus, called the sea lice, that is found in marine waters. So fish infested with external parasitic copepods are often lethargic. So they're often lethargic and may rub or flash against the substrate. That is, sometimes they show, these are fish infested with parasitic copepods, sometimes show a feeling of maybe weakness or lack of interest. They don't really swim well, and they have no energy. They exhibit lack of energy. So they may flash or rub against the substrate, but in heavy infestations, the skin may appear opaque, that is, it may appear transparent due to the production of mucus, and the fins may be frayed. So meaning that they look worn out, old and staggered. Okay, the epidermal and gill tissues may become necrotic with secondary infections by fungi and bacteria. These parasites can be found worldwide. The host species, a variety of different freshwater and marine fishes are susceptible to infestations from these copepods. So a wide range of freshwater fishes and marine fishes. So they're not really host specific. The clinical signs are that the parasitized fish may act listless and lethargic. That is showing signs of no energy, no interest, even in the normal activities as fishes and all that. And then mechanical aberration due to the attachments and or feeding by the copepods is common, resulting in frayed fins, gill hyperplasia, and patchy epidermal damage and necrosis. So the two things that lead to some of the signs that we see is their mechanical aberration, maybe their movement, or as a result of the attachment of the scopopods. It can cause some damages, and also the feeding or the feeding by the scopopods. Okay, the feeding and the attachment is one of the major problems that bring about the damage in the bodies of the fishes. So the transmission, how are they transmitted? Most of these organisms have a direct life cycle involving a number of free living and larval stages. Transmission is through contact with an effective free living stage of the organism in the water column. The effective stage attaches to the fish, where it goes through a number of larval stages before becoming an adult. So how do we diagnose? The larger parasites can be seen with the naked eye, because it's an ectoparasite, and definitive identification is based on microscopic morphologies of the body parts and the structures. What about the prognosis for the host? The prognosis for the host depends on the specific parasite, the tissue location, and the numbers present. So if parasite numbers are small, fish normally survive with little adverse effects unless the copepods or anchor worms that destroy one or both eyes. So this can result to blindness or death of the host by starvation or predation, because they can't really see at that moment. So when present in large numbers, such as infestation with Lepiotherius in seawater net pens, significant fish losses may result, and lead to death of some fishes and all that. So this is what a copepod looks like. Copepod from the surface of a salmonid fish. Now, parasites in fishes mainly parasitize the following parts of the body. There are different bodies of the parasites there are different bodies of the host that the parasites can affect. Number one is the skin. So the skin, the gills, the intestine, the eyes, the brain, and the fin. That is for microscopic examinations. But macroscopically, that is the one we can easily identify with our eyes. Of course, the skin, we can look out for the parasites on the skin, the gills, the eyes, the tail, and the fins. We raise them up. Under the fins, some parasites could be, hiding there and all of that. So, but for microscopic examinations, we can check out, like when you're looking at the skin, you can scrape some tissues from the skin, put it on the slide with distilled water and observe a parasite. Same as the gills, you just get a mucus from whichever site you are examining from, and then the intestine, you can get the intestine, get the mucus, put it on the slide and look out for any parasites. Then the eyes, just of course, from the eyes you can get cysts of parasites. Okay, just press the ocular bulb on the slide and presents you a specimen. Then the brain, you can open up the central cavity of the fish. You get the mucus from there. You can see cysts of parasites and all that. So, but macroscopically, you can physically or externally examine the fins, the tail, the gills, the whole body and all of that for ectoparasites of fishes. So the various enemies of fishes. Number one, the pests. Of course, no pests are organisms that are unwanted. So there could be pests that are enemies of fishes. Could be beetles. Pests are unwanted and they can cause harm. The organisms that can cause harm to the organisms or their hosts, so to say. So pests include beetles, include organisms in the Coleoptera order, the diphtheria and the acarina. The beetles, the flies, and the mites. Beg your pardon. So then the insects, we have insects and insect larvae. They can attack fishes. So harmful insects include water beetle. These are all insects that can be found in aquatic habitats. Water beetle, water bugs, water scorpion, etc. They can attack fish eggs and fish fry. Okay, that's the little ones. And these insects can be controlled by improvement in nursery pond management. Oil emulsion to prevent aerial breathing. Oil emulsion can prevent their acquisition of oxygen in the aquatic environment. So we can also use fish that feed on insect larvae, especially that can remain in the bottom. Use fish to control them. Fishes that feed on insect larvae, especially that can remain in the bottom of water, we use that to control these insects. And then the amphibians. We have amphibians like the frogs and toads. They are prey on fish fry, or rather they prey on fish fry and fish. So they are predators, so to say. So the best way to control them is by destroying the breeding grounds of these amphibians, like the frogs, destroy the larvae and juvenile fishes. The populations of frogs can be controlled by keeping premises around clean and clear. We don't need to allow bushes to stay up around the pond area or the aquatic environment. And then water channels, maybe inflow or outflow, should be kept clean and clear. It should be clean. And also there should be screens. We should screen the ponds as recommended. We can use screens at the edges of the water channel so that we'll filter what goes in or what goes out. So screens within the water channels also help reduce frogs' access to the ponds. Screens is like you put a barricade or like a gauze that can prevent larger organisms from getting to the ponds. So frogs tend to come into pond area via the water channel. So short grass around the ponds reduce hiding places for the frogs, which makes them more vulnerable to predation by hawks. Right. Then the reptiles. The reptiles include snakes, the crocodiles, the alligators, and large lizards. So they can be controlled by netting them out of pond and destroying them. Crocodiles, alligators, and large lizards feed on all types of fishes. So control is by proper fencing and keeping dense bushes down or low. You can also set traps to catch the monitor lizards. The turtles can also prey on fishes, and we can also control the turtles by fencing around ponds with wire mesh, and we can set traps to catch them. So snakes can be controlled by keeping premises around clean and clear, cutting short the grasses, reducing bushes, and all of that. All this helps to reduce their hiding places, and it makes them more vulnerable to predation by hawks. It makes them exposed, and while keeping them out from the fish ponds or fish environment or whatever. So young alligators eat fish and other invertebrates. Adult alligators, they eat bigger fishes, mammals, and other reptiles. So the other fishes that are enemies of fishes. Of course, this one should be carnivorous, just like a brother feeding on brother. So is carnivorous in nature. So these carnivorous species, while in the pond, can affect fish production and growth because they feed on other fishes. So these fish prey on farmed fishes. Examples of these carnivorous species include mistle species, walago species, and chana species, and then a host of others. So this fish may enter into the farm through canal water or by stocking unidentified fish seed from natural waters. When you want to stock your pond, you must make sure that the species of fishes you are stocking up a pond with can be identified, and you know that you have a particular species of fishes. So sometimes those wild ones can breed with the farm fishes. So the unwanted fish can be eradicated by the use of rotenone or even installing fine screens at water inlets. Fine screens that can prevent their entry. So other fishes are large mouth bass, the long-nosed jar, short-nosed jar, the spotted jar, and the rest of them. They are fishes that are quite carnivorous in nature. Now the birds. The fish-eating birds are a diverse group of birds that have adapted to feeding on fishes as a primary source of food. So because fishes are a rich source of protein and other nutrients, birds need those nutrients, and that's why it serves as an important food source for birds. So eating fishes can help birds build their strong muscles and feathers for their flight and energy for long migrations and all that. So fish-eating birds play an important role in the aquatic ecosystem. By feeding on fish, they help to control populations of these fishes, which can prevent overfishing and other ecological imbalances. Okay. However, in some cases, fish-eating birds can also have negative impacts on the fish populations, particularly in if their numbers become too large and they begin to overexploit the fish stock. So there are some common fish-eating birds that are around. One of them, I'm sorry, I'm not able to present the pictures, but you can check them up on the internet and see what they look like. Number one is the osprey. The osprey is one of the most famous fish-eating birds. One of the most famous. And these birds are these birds of prey are found on every continent. Okay. They are also expert fishers. They have specialized feet that allow them to grasp fish with ease. They can be seen hovering around waterways before diving in to catch the prey. They prefer to nest in tall trees or on man-made structures such as telephone poles, channel markers, and all that. And they are known as fish hawks because their diet consists almost entirely of fish. So they are skilled hunters of fishes, and they can spot fish from a very far distance, from high in the sky and all that. So once they are able to look at the fish, they dive feet first into the water and catch it with their sharp talons. Okay. Then another example of fishes is the seagull. These seagulls are often found near the coast where they can easily catch fish and other marine creatures. So these ones, they have a very sharp beak and strong legs that allow them to snatch fish from the water or dig up shellfish from the sand. So they are also opportunistic feeders, which will scavenge for food in garbage cans and other human-made sources. So seagulls are often seen in large flocks, especially during the breeding season. Another example is the bald eagle. Bald eagles are found in North America, especially in Alaska and Canada. They prefer to live near rivers, near lakes, near coast, where they can find a steady supply of fish to eat. So their habitats is now giving them where they choose to live. It's now giving them the opportunity to get as much as food supply as they want. So they build their nests in tall trees near the water, and they often return to the same nest year after year. So bald eagles are known for for their fish-heavy diet. They primarily eat fish, such as trout and salmon. Okay, but they will also eat other small fish and even water birds. They are skilled hunters, and they will swoop down from the sky to catch fish with their talons. And they are migratory birds. They can search long distance in search of food. And then the next one is the pelican. The pelicans are also found in the wetland habitats, the coastal areas, the rivers, where they can easily get fishes. Then we have the penguins. Penguins are a group of flightless birds. They are birds, but they don't fly. Flightless birds. So they are found primarily in the southern hemisphere. Some of them live in South Africa. You can also be found in South Africa, South America, and some other locations. So they live in colonies, and their habitats are usually rocky coastlines, ice shelves, and beaches, especially ice shelves. So they are adapted to living in cold. That's why we see them in ice shelves. They live in cold environments, harsh environments, and they possess a thick layer of feathers that provides insulation against the cold. So these organisms are carnivorous and feed primarily on fish, crustaceans, and squid. They are excellent hunters and can dive to great depths to catch fish. They also hunt crustaceans such as crabs and krill. They have a streamlined body that helps them swim through water and catch the prey. Another example of fishes is the common tern. Another example of birds is the common tern. This bird is a migratory bird, can be found in coastal areas and wetlands, in marshes environments, beaches, and all that. In as much as they catch small fishes and feed on them, they can also eat insects and other small vertebrates. Then we have the great blue heron. The great blue heron is a wading bird. It's commonly found in wetland habitats across the Northern America. So they can be found near ponds, lakes, and other bodies of water to have easy access to their food, which is the fish. They are known to eat small fishes, also reptiles, rodents, and frogs. They have very sharp beaks to catch their prey, and they can also be seen most times in shallow water, where they will be moving around to hunt for fish. Then we have the African fish eagle. African fish eagle is a bird of prey found throughout the sub-Saharan Africa. It lives near freshwater habitats, freshwater lakes, freshwater rivers, coastal areas, and they prefer open water and are often seen perched in trees near the coast of the water. So they are skilled hunters too, and they feed primarily on the fish. The fishes make up about 90% of their diet. So they hunt by swooping down from their perch and snatching fish from the water surface with their sharp talons. They are also known to eat small mammals, reptiles, birds, as well as scavenging on carrion. So the next one is the cormorant. Cormorants are a type of aquatic bird that have a voracious appetite for fish. They are known for their diving abilities, which allow them to catch fish even underwater. So cormorants have a long, slender neck and a hooked beak, and is ideal for catching slippery fish. They also have webbed feet that aid in swimming and diving. So the birds are found in freshwater and some other habitats around the world. They are often seen perched on rocks or tree branches near the coastlines, waiting for their next meal. So despite their predatory nature, cormorants are an important part of the ecosystem and play a crucial role in maintaining a healthy balance of aquatic life. These cormorants can be controlled by shooting. Many of the birds, of course, we can't set trap for them in water because they just fly in, swoop down, use their heavy talons and pick up fishes. Talons are sharp curved nails that they have on their feet, so they use it to pick the fishes. Most of the times you can't really catch them, or you can't really maybe trap them by using traps or whatever. Most of the times we control these birds by shooting them so that we kill them. And then we have the mammals as enemies of fishes. Mammals, example, the water rats, the otter, and even man. The water rats and otter eat fishes. They eat also their eggs, their fry, and the big fish. So these animals are even able to destroy fish feed. These predators can be controlled by fixing fences around the ponds and catching them in traps. You can set traps for the water rats and the otter. Then otters prey on large fish at night, killing more than they can eat. They burrow and live under the roots of trees near the water. They are very clever and they can even open latches on the gates. So we can control this otter by proper fencing around the ponds. And then we can also use traps, using special light traps to maybe catch them in their passages, their perceived passages. We can also guard the ponds from these mammals using trained dogs. So in the case of man affect the fishes by stealing them, indiscriminate harvesting of fishes. So it's considered as an enemy because it harvests the fishes indiscriminately. So, and this attitude or this action is considered among major predators, which makes the fishes which affects the production of the fishes. So it is most times it is extremely difficult to control, but we can control them to an extent by employing security personnel. As in the case of man, we can employ security personnel to watch over the ponds, watch over the aquatic environment, make sure there is no trespassing. And then we can use trained dogs. There could be hidden obstruction to prevent pond sealing. We can put up something, maybe gauze or whatever, hidden obstruction. And then we can fence the farm and lock it up securely. We can fence it, and then we can also put up burglar alarms or electrified fences. So once there's a trespass, there should be an alarm that shows that something is wrong in the fish environment. Okay, the next topic is fish diseases caused by protozoans. And of course, we know that protozoans are single-celled organisms. They can be eukaryotic or prokaryotic, depending. And they can also be free-living or parasitic in nature. They can be parasitic to plants and also animals. Some of them aerobic, some of them not aerobic, as the case may be. But these protozoans, we're going to narrow our focus by bringing it down to those of them that affect fishes. So we have different examples, and they can be classified according to their maybe their morphology, like the ciliates, the flagellates, and the amoeba. The ciliates are those ones that have a cilia for movement, and the flagellates are those ones that have flagella for movement, and those of them that have this amoebic nature. So that is, they are divided into three main groups. Most fishes, or most of them, are commonly encountered fish parasites. Most of the commonly encountered fish parasites are protozoans, and they are single-celled. They have the ability to multiply on their host or within their host, which makes them dangerous to fishes because they can reproduce in multiple folds while living in the fish. So they have a direct life cycle and mostly reproduce by binary fission. Binary fission, that means where a cell is able to divide to form two new cells, two new daughter cells. So an organism is able to produce two new organisms. Okay, and some of these species have cyst form of the host. That is, they appear in cyst form. So typically these parasites are present in large numbers either on the surface of the fish, within the gills, or both. The general effect of these parasites is that they irritate the epithelial surface, so causing an increasing mucus production. So there are three types, like I explained earlier: the ciliates, the flagellates, and the amoeba. So the ciliates are those ones belonging in the order Ciliophora that have cilia. Cilia are short, fine cytoplasmic outgrowths that are used for movement. So the ciliated protozoa are among the most common external parasites, which can cause mortality in a number of wild and farm fishes. And these ciliates can be motile, they can be attached or found within the epithelium. So while they often occur as harmless, under poor environmental conditions and stress, some ciliates can rapidly increase in number, leading to morbidity and mortality. And then they include number one of those diseases is the ichthyophytriatis, or what we call the ICH. This disease is caused by a parasite we call Ichthyophytris multifilus. So it's a causative agent of this disease, Ichthyophytriaris, that we call white spot disease. It causes white spot on the bodies of the fish. So it is on the body of the fish rather. So it is the most common pathogen of protozoan parasites of freshwater fishes worldwide, and it is common caused across continents. So it causes particularly devastating infections where it spreads rapidly within dense populations. So it can lead to high morbidity and mortality. So each infection can occur at any of the growth stages of the fish, from the fry, the fingerling, the table size, the prod fish, and even the adult fish. So the parasite can cause catastrophic epizootics in warm and temperate water fish culture. So they may even lead to loss in wild fish on some occasions. They might lead to losses of fishes. Considerable losses have been reported from cultures of carp, rainbow trout, tilapia, eel, channel catfish, and as well as ornamental fish. So these parasites, when we look at the morphology, is spherical in shape, and the cilia are even distributed over the whole surface. So the characteristic features of these parasites is that they are horseshoe-shaped. They have horseshoe-shaped nucleus, and it has a rotating movement. It's an obligate pathogen and has a unique direct life cycle, which allows a rapid intensification of infection. So the life cycle consists of an effective pteron, a parasitic trophont, and a reproductive tormont. I repeat, an effective pteron, a parasitic trophont, and a reproductive tormont. Effective pterons swim actively in water in search of hosts. So after burrowing into fish epithelium, pterons become trophonts and feed on host tissues until they reach maturity. So the mature tormont drops off the host. It drops off the host, attaches to substrate, and undergoes multiple divisions to produce pterons. So the mature stage is the tormont, the effective stage is the pteron, and the parasitic is the trophont. So the parasite spreads rapidly from fish to fish, as a single each tormont can produce hundreds of thousands of infective pterons in less than a day. So you can imagine the effect it's going to have on the fishes. The parasite invades epithelial tissues of the gills, the skin, and the fins, leaving a small wound and visibly white spot or nodule where each parasite exists. That's why sometimes you see fishes with white patches on their bodies. It's as a result of the itch infection. So mortality can be rapid and catastrophic. Heavy infection of itch by itch damages fish skin and gills, causing loss of respiratory, excretory, and osmoregulatory functions, and might serve as a portal of entry for secondary invaders or other microorganisms, leading to eventual death of the fish. So in your notes I have the life cycle of the Ichthyophilus multifilus. Then another disease is what we call trichotillomaniasis. This trichotillomaniasis is caused by a ciliated protozoa. Remember, we are still talking about the ciliates. A ciliated protozoa of the family Trichodinidae, in which the most common of 6 genera is Trichodina, represented by over 30 species. So this protozoan, having about 40 to 60 micrometers in diameter, is saucer-shaped and moves along the surface of the skin, the fins, and gills. It can be found in freshwater habitats because it parasites freshwater fishes, and most times we don't see them in marine water except for shellfishes. So this parasite feeds on the detritus and other debris found on the surface of the fish using tooth-like structures we call denticles. So they use their denticles to attach to the body of the fish and then also use it to scrape the debris from the surface of the fish to the mouth of the parasite. So when they are bound out, the scraping and movement of these organisms irritate the skin and the gill surfaces of the fish, causing hyperplasia of the epithelium. So extreme cases can result in reduced gas exchange. It can also result in reduced osmoregulation in the fish host because it affects the gill surfaces that the fish uses in gaseous exchange. When environmental conditions are suboptimal or when fish tissues are mechanically damaged, more severe infestations may occur. So about their species, this protozoa parasites freshwater and marine fish species. Examples are the rainbow and steelhead trout, the coho, and chinook salmon. They appear more susceptible than other species of salmonids. So there are young fish or young fishes. They are also more susceptible. The parasites also have also been reported from amphibian tadpoles. That means they've been implicated in tadpoles as a host, or rather as a parasite. The clinical signs are that the fishes parasited by this trichogyna often have white patches or molting of the skin and fishes. You see, like the skin of the fins or the fishes, like they are being scraped out or being scraped out, as the case may be. So excessive mucus is produced, causing a white to blue sheen on the skin. The fins are generally frayed, and fish exhibit flashing behavior by scraping their bodies against hard surfaces. If the gills are heavily infested, orbicular movements may be labored. Orbicular movements may become heavy and labored, and their fins may become like they are washed off, they are old, like the part of the skin is being scraped. The transmission is that fishes that are infested with trichogyna through direct transmission from fish to fish or from organisms in the water originating from a subclinically infested reservoir host. So transmission is by direct transmission from fish to fish or from some other organisms to fish, some other organisms that can act as the reservoir host of the parasite. So the organisms produced by binary fission, whereby daughter organisms either attach immediately to the original host or seek a new host in the water column. How do we diagnose this parasite? The diagnosis can be made by microscopic observation of the highly motile spinning protozoa in a wet mount preparation of skin scrapes or gill tissues. So when they are in abundance, the organisms may be visible gliding on the skin surface with the naked eye. You might notice their movement. That is when they are in abundance, when they are seen in a, let me use the word colony. You can easily notice their gliding movement on the skin. The genus and species identification require microscopic examination of the shape and arrangement of the denticles, because that is what differentiates one species from another. The arrangement of the denticles on the chitin disc surrounding the mouth of the parasite. The prognosis for the host indicate that trichodinid protozoa are relatively weak pathogens when compared to other external protozoans infesting the fishes. So the prognosis for parasite fish is good when parasite numbers are low and fishes are not stressed. However, some of these protozoans are serious pathogens causing high fish mortality, especially in hatchery cultured species. So under these conditions, external chemical treatment with formalin is necessary. That is for the control. You can use formalin to control the presence of these diseases or these parasites. We can have, maybe you can dip the fishes into formalin to effectively deal with the parasites on the different parts of the bodies. So how do we treat specifically? As the life cycle is direct, a single treatment is usually adequate. So chemical treatment can be a formalin bath or a salt bath. You can use formalin, you dip the fishes into the formalin, it deals with the parasite. Or a salt bath. When you have a salt solution, you can dip the fish having these parasites into that salt water.